Check out. Somebody home? Out of downtown Milwaukee, Mississippi, really coming up you guys need to be rolling on this stuff. Copy. Y'all are the Lisa. Are y'all y'all work the same behind you. Y'all work. Okay. No, we're gonna do it right here, and everybody can just stand behind if y'all want to. And then, as people speak, they're gonna just step up. Okay. We're gonna wait a few more minutes for the guys going for a police order, so we can support. Okay.
Tell them I sent them a slug name.
2 minutes away? Okay. City Hall. Yeah, it's bordering Wells. We outside. Yeah, we outside. They told us we had to have a permit to do it inside. They're already okay. So
Okay, hopefully they put it.
Hopefully. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna call because this case for the kitchen. That's why everything is around the toes. You know what I'm saying? Right. Okay, it's a house. Now, they just get it cooked. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm going to Hey, I seen you on TV one day. I was like, why did I tell you hold up, man. We think this is like make sure
Hey, you know how niggas be. They'll let me get I put it in nose and hey, I say,
you know what I'm saying?
you know, fix yourself.
I know we're supposed to be like, whatever we got outside of the house, when they actually do that, just can't come with this person. You know what I'm saying? We waiting for his daughter to leave 2 minutes away, so just stay walking. How you like that?
Okay, sorry. Yeah. And they're just supposed to be on. Supposed to be on. Oh, okay, great. Nice to meet you. You might have, yeah, I received a call from Court TV. I think you the person sender from Atlanta. Omar? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hi, Omar. Florida? That's a long way out. It's a long one, so get ready. Yeah, it's one. There's a line against okay, great, yeah. I think I mentioned the yeah, I'm going to be speaking specifically to a paper. If there are parallels, say oh, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's right.
They get by, they don't never get away.
I always think they do. I mean, they should. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but just think about for you, when kids and all this right here. This is right here. Yeah, I think so. No. No, no. Okay, yeah. This car, we're going to get police in a few minutes or we're going to go?
He can just fall in when he comes. Just have him kind of fall in, and then he can, speak.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah. So whenever I pass around, just back up to the next person. That's what I'm saying.
When y'all do,
Okay, we about ready. How many y'all want? Let me know what you got.
y'all want to come a little closer? Come a little closer, y'all. What do you say?
Oh, you want to kind of like spread out a little bit.
Oh, is that good?
Okay. All right. First of all, I want to say that we are here. For those who don't know, I know Court TV is here. There's been some national coverage about the case that just ended yesterday that involves the same judge and the same prosecutor. For those who don't understand what happens in Milwaukee, Wisconsin when it comes to race, when it comes to being equal under the law, equity under the law, and equal application of the law, this is where the problems come in at. And of course, across the nation, we see a rise in crime, and we want public safety, we want people to be safe, we want to address those things, but the point of it is to equally apply the law and lock up the people who need to be locked up for what they actually did. All right? So with that being said, we have members of Khalif Love's family here who is going to speak to what happened with him. But we also are marrying that because we just saw the end of the Theodore Edgecombe case that again involves the same judge and same prosecutor. It's funny that he was supposed to have a hearing on Monday and that was moved to today, which happens to be a day after the trial. So this information was supposed to come out during that, and it may have had some impact or effect on it. But that is what it is. I want to say in the past few weeks and months, in my opinion, aside from the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, this was the most gross and unjust display of what is supposed to be a trusted and valid process of democracy. I want to preference my statement by saying I appreciate and do not blame the jurors, but they were just as shortchanged in this process as the rest of us were. But as in Kenosha, we got to see the judge become the literal extension and ally of one side of the process, putting personal opinion and prejudice before the sworn unbiased office he is supposed to be upholding. That can no longer be allowed. With any judge, with any proceeding, these flat out shows of bias and contempt. At one point yesterday specifically, that to me was one of the worst examples. The judge literally frowned and scoffed and held his head down at the very mention of Sandra Bland's name and Ahmaud Arbery's name. But why are we here today? Because this is about Khalif Love. What does Theodore Edgecombe's case have to do with today's press conference? Well, it seems that Theodore Edgecombe isn't the only person who has suffered an injustice due to this judge and this prosecutor. In 2011, Jarrell Johnson was shot and killed outside of a Milwaukee bar. That series of events led to the arrest and conviction of Khalif Love. Now you're probably saying that sounds about right. That sounds like justice was served, right? Well, what if I were to tell you that much like myself, the Love family or specific members thereof were targets to the city of Milwaukee and MPD, and were, they were apparently, targeted by the city for whatever reason, and law enforcement. But there was a consensus to break the rules of law and to just force squares to fit in a circle, which in the United States of America is called conspiracy and collusion. Witness statements that did not add up, evidence that was not present or lacked altogether, and the proper alignment of effort between Milwaukee Police Department, Judge Borowski, and Assistant District Attorney Hubner ensured that regardless of guilt or innocence, Khalif Love's time was up. 30 years is what that collusion and conspiracy amounted to. 10 of those years already served. But what happens in the dark, we already know the rest. The family of the actual guilty party came forward with the identity of the person who factually shot and killed Jarrell Johnson, whom at this point was deceased himself. Not only did they identify him, they provided information that matched the crime and crime scene and produced the murder weapon that Khalif has already served a full 10 years for. A gun that he never possessed himself, nor was he ever caught with. He was sentenced and has already served time for that. Now here we are, the same judge who bears a repulse in the community by name alone. If you ask people who have been through the court process what they think of or have heard of Judge Borowski, you will watch their faces do exactly what his face did yesterday at the mention of those names. D.A. Huebner was exceptional at his job yesterday arguing Theo's guilt. But it's funny that those who seem in a position to be the judges of morality of the rest of society usually aren't that great at checking and addressing their own. Therefore, not only do we support today's motion of temporary relief for Khalif Love, which would mean possibly his release, but we call for investigations into both Judge Borowski and Assistant D.A. Huebner for what seems like a gross negligence, conspiracy, malicious prosecution, misconduct in office to purposely target and vigorously prosecute a person they knew was innocent. I called into question other past cases that may be more of the same of what we have seen in Khalif Love's case. This judge made a comment during yesterday's trial how he has a potential offer to work for the Green Bay Packers and how he would call it quits if that offer is secured. Well, in the words of Chris Brown, deuces. And take your buddy, Judge Schroeder, with you while you're at it. We call on the district attorney's office to do the right thing and correct a clear wrong in this case. I will repeat, if a person commits a crime and has a fair and impartial trial and loses, he or she must accept and take their L, as we say. But this community has taken more than enough L's, and too many of those are folks who are in a facility somewhere in this state that they should not be in because they are not guilty. And anyone who can prove and who we can help prove and assist in proving their innocence, we will also support and stand by. I'm gonna let Khalif's mother is going to say some words, and then we'll have Minister Khalif speak as well.
Hello, I'm Dorothy Love, Khalif Love, mother, and I just want to see justice for my son and the others that have went through the system and got a wrong deal, to say, in the system. So I just want to see justice for my son. Thank you.
My name is Mr. Khalif Muavel from all of us in Wisconsin, President. I mean, the facts of this case is pretty clear. You have a person coming forward that already admitted to committing the crime in spite of whatever consequence could fall on him. You have evidence that never really supported the crime being committed. You have a gross miscarriage of justice. You have a DA that has a history of fixing cases to his benefit. You have a DA that has very little moral rectitude and has never been corrected for the injustices that he's imposed upon our people. We're demanding the release of Brother Khalif today. We're saying that it's in the interest of justice to make sure that he resurfaces from a crime that he did not commit. We don't care about the politics. We don't care whether or not you feel he did other things in the past that may warrant this pain and suffering. We're talking about what he was convicted of that was erroneous. We're saying that the justice system needs to step up to the plate and give justice when justice is due. He did not receive his due process. We're saying today that these particular practices in the city of Milwaukee has to change. And if those things don't change, you're going to continue to see the people rise up against this injustice. We're saying that the brother Khalif should be free. We're saying free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
D.A. Huebner, you know you're wrong.
Yeah.
You had no evidence against this man.
Right.
You chose to fix the evidence and fix the facts to justify pursuing pursuing a conviction.
Yeah.
And that right there is unjust.
Right.
We're saying no more
No
with the
more.
politics of this system to
No
throw
more.
away our so-called black and brown men in the system and lock them up and throw away the key with
Yeah.
no remorse.
Yeah.
We're saying that's a human life that's connected to all people that loves him, his mother, his father, his sister, his brother, and a host of cousins, nieces, and nephews that loves this man.
Yeah.
There's children that loves this man. We're talking about a man who wants to come home and do the right thing.
Right.
He's been gone 10 years. And if you're talking about, you're worried about him committing another crime, the man is over 40. He's aged out of the mindset to even do those things. So keeping him convicted is unjustifiable. It is not in the interest of justice. And we're saying today, free Khalif! Free Khalif! Free Khalif! Free Khalif! Free Khalif! Free Khalif! Peace and love.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name's Omar Flores. I'm with the Milwaukee Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. We've specifically been working on the case of Theodore Edgecombe, where he defended himself against a racist white attacker. Yesterday, unfortunately, we saw a verdict come out that said that he was guilty through these racist courts. And what we saw and what the nation saw is a judge that is completely unconcerned with justice, a prosecutor that's completely unconcerned with justice. It's not just us on the ground here that are saying it over one case. It's people all over the country.
Right.
We've had national media on this. We've had comments from all around the country saying, what is wrong with this judge?
Right.
Before the trial came out, we were asking that he recuse himself from the case because it's clear he didn't want to be a part of it, and he refused. And instead, he spent 2 weeks complaining about how long this trial is taking, how he needs to go do other things, how we need to hurry up and pick up the pace, you know? But last time I checked, justice doesn't have a time limit. All the facts need to come out. We can't just look at the facts that are convenient to the prosecution or to the system that just wants to lock up black people and brown people. So again, you know, this is not just us saying it, and we know that this is not the only case that he's been this way with.
Right.
And so tonight we're going to be hosting a caravan in support of Theodore Edgecombe and his release, and to take his case to appeals court for a mistrial. We're going to be meeting at Mitchell Park Domes tonight at 6 p.m. and we're going to be saying free Theo, and now we're also going to be saying free Khalif. Thank you.
I just want to say, free Khalif. I just want to say that for the justice system, y'all have to do something better, because it's scary raising kids out here. There's people that's getting accused of things that they really didn't do and incarcerated for things they really didn't do, because you got people that's out here lying and making things up about people that never did these actions. I just want to say, free Khalif.
Free Khalif.
Free Khalif! Free Khalif! Free Khalif! Free Khalif! I know there's some questions as to, again, why we keep merging these two different things. Not, again, because they're the same judge and prosecutor. But you heard the defense talk about police not thoroughly doing their work. You heard them bring up stuff like more evidence being out there that they could have went after, and you heard testimony about police saying, no, we have enough. This is what we want to go with. And this is exactly the type of stuff we're talking about 10 years ago that happened to Khalif Love, where they ignored evidence. They ignored his innocence and said, this is the person that we want it to be.
Right.
Now, I believe last year, I had the chief of police, then Morales, who had me locked up for a burglary that was on video that proved I did nothing. When we have judges, prosecutors, and police chiefs who can just select who they want to be guilty and target those people, again, this is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't know where you live and what it's like, but here, the stuff we are saying is wrong is real. These are not just excuses. These are not just things we're complaining about because it's fun. You think people want to be out here in the freezing cold saying free somebody who shouldn't be free? I want to bring up somebody else who has some more insight as to this particular judge and why we cannot trust him on the bench.
My name's Kevin Glowicki. Glowicki spelled Glowicki. I'm an independent investigative journalist located here in Southeast Wisconsin. Name of my company is Never.Stop Media. If you guys were watching the jury selection during the Theo Edgecombe trial, there was a situation where it was alleged that some jurors were exposed to the camera. The only reason that the court even knew about that is because of my company. We were live streaming the court case to make sure that it was covered appropriately, to make sure that we had more attention on this case, especially being a local here in Milwaukee. And on my live stream, I noticed that multiple jurors had been shown their faces. I immediately contacted the defense team, and I also contacted the district attorney's office to let them know that there was a compromise in the safety and identity of the jurors. It took a while for that information to get there. Again, if you watch the case, Judge Borowski immediately denied that this could have happened and argued with the defense when they brought this up. Now, myself, being a member of the public first and a journalist second, I wanted to make sure that the integrity of the jurors and their safety, and that they couldn't have been threatened, intimidated, or compromised, which we've seen many times, especially here in Wisconsin, by white supremacists, militia, etc. We wanted to make sure that Theo had a fair trial, had a fair jury, and Borowski tried to deny that this happened. There was a part during that where there was argument, and eventually the ADA, Hubner, stepped up and said, "Your Honor, this is true and correct." Borowski was frustrated, he was very irritated, didn't want to hear it, didn't want to believe it, and the audio on the trial got muted, at which time they contacted me via cell phone to explain to everybody what we had captured and the information that we were trying to get into this courtroom to make sure that Theo had a fair and true trial. And conversation during that phone call was trying to lead to allegations towards the defense team that they were being untruthful when it came to jurors that were being shown. So I wanted to make sure, I was a little hesitant about bringing this up, and because it's obviously a very dangerous thing for me to reveal. But it does show that while something that serious happened, this judge, with clear evidence, screenshots and video, did not want to believe that. And afterwards, which I found out after, Judge Borowski entered a court order barring all media from live streaming this case. And that was directly targeted at independent media. But it included corporate media as well, which is a serious issue, because somebody's life is on the line. This is a national trial. We all needed to see this. And for trying to protect the integrity of this case, somebody like me, an independent, was targeted where I was not allowed to live stream the case. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit more insight from a journalist point of view on something that we uncovered. And that's what we do. So, thank you.
Hopefully you guys understand what it is we're trying to relay to you. As much as we talk about issues in law enforcement, issues across the city with violence, the issue with these judges swaying the balance of justice in these courtrooms, when that's the jury's role, is a problem, especially with the racial issues we have in all elements of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And so again, police, family, community activists, community organizers, media, and just citizens all over the city want to see these systems fixed, want to see balance in these systems, and we want to see this man free, because he should not be in there. And he has a hearing today, and Judge Borowski needs to make the right decision. And after that, he needs to step down. He needs to leave. And in my opinion, he needs to answer legally for the things that he has done to affect people's lives like that. For some reason, people think that all of these folks who are spending 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in jail and come to find out that they're innocent is like, sorry, oops. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And so, the message for today, free Khalif.
Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif. Free Khalif.
So I don't know if you guys have any questions in specific. Other than that, that's all that we have. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Free Khalif!
Free Khalif.
Free Khalif!
Free Khalif.
Free Khalif!